Yeah, so we're gonna demo creating some views now. So basically, to like find the starter code, you're gonna want to go to the course website, and over on the side here, if you scroll down to lectures and go to 2, um, it'll give you a bunch of like commands that you can run. So we can like clone the repository by doing this command, or the other one, I guess. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So you gotta find like a nice place that you want to put it, and you want to open up a terminal inside of that location. So I have a terminal opened right now in okay, in the trash. That's great. Let's fix that. Okay, so I have a folder here called iOS course. If you are showing the like bar, you can just right click your folder and do open in terminal. That's really convenient. And then let's see. So now I'm in the iOS course folder. I think this is a good location for me to put my my code for today's lecture. So then I'm gonna paste the command in that I got on the website, and it's gonna clone, and it's gonna say done. And then yeah, now you have it. So if I go into this folder now, you'll see that I have this repository called lect2 UIKit, and I can just go ahead and click this .xcode proj file to open it up in Xcode. Yeah, what's up?
Can you just like go over what you did like when you opened the iOS course in
Yeah, sure. So yeah, what you'll have to do is, so if you don't see this like stuff down here at the screen, just like I like don't remember off the top of my head, but just Google like show file path in Finder or something like that online, and then it'll tell you how to do
Like,
it.
do you want to get the path of a folder?
No.
Do you
Or
so
just create?
you might not see exactly what's here. If you don't see this like bottom thing, you have to like show the bottom bar, which is somewhere up here in view probably.
Like, 2 things you could do, at least for my Mac, you could, if you go to home and then it's, okay, wait.
Yeah, you want to try?
Sure. If you go to go and then home, it will take you to like basic your user and all of those folders, if that's the question. But if you wanted to get file path, another thing you could do is take that folder, drag it to the terminal, and that gives you the path of the
Yeah,
folder.
so let me demonstrate that real quick. So if I go here, this is like my iOS course folder. It's inside of my documents folder. And so what I can do is let's say that I like haven't like, I'll open up a new terminal just like just from like doing terminal.app. And then what I'll do is I'll demonstrate what Bell said. So you CD to get to a directory, and then you can just drag the folder into the terminal, and it'll bring up the path in the terminal. And then if I hit enter, I'll be in the iOS course folder. So yeah, and then you just do the same command, this git clone, and then it should clone the repository if you have git all set up correctly. Awesome. Okay, yeah, and then just once you have it, go into your folder, click the lecture2.xcode proj, and it should open up Xcode. Any other questions about that? Awesome. Okay. Let's see, can I make this bigger? Okay. Awesome. So yeah, so basically what we want to do is let's see. We're gonna open. You'll see we have a couple different files here. These 2 files right here, this app delegate and this scene delegate, are generated for us. We do not want to touch those. What we're gonna be touching is the view controller, and this is where basically we are going to make our view. And you'll see that this view controller class is a subclass of the UIView controller class. And that's the first thing that you'll notice. This is auto-generated when you, I guess, create a new project. So I wouldn't worry about too much about this specifically. But basically, you see we have this override function, view.did_load. Basically, without going into too much detail, whenever like the screen like loads and your view loads, this function will be run. So whatever I put in here is going to be run as soon as my code boots up, as soon as the screen boots up. Okay, awesome. So yeah, so right now what we're gonna do is we're going to I guess show you guys how to put something on the screen. So what we can do is we can use what I was saying earlier, which is the UIKit library. You'll see that is imported to basically use classes that they give us to put them on the screen. So if we wanted to go ahead and like add, let's say, a name label, like just put someone's name on the screen, what we can do is we can define a UI label. So we're going to say let, and then we're going to say name label. This is just the name of of our variable, and we're going to say that that's equal to a UI label. Awesome. And then just to keep good practice, I'm going to mark this as a property, right? Because this is inside of a class itself called view controller, and I spelled property wrong. We'll say properties just in case we want to add any more. And I'm just going to say that these are view properties because they have to do with the view. If we had any data properties, which is just like stuff that we're keeping track of that don't really have to do with views, we can say properties and then data. But we won't need any data. I'll leave it here for now, but we won't be putting anything under this mark.
Like an example of data could be, suppose you have an application that keeps track of the number of times you press a button. Maybe the data could be the number of like button presses that you wouldn't actually, well, you could display, but like the number itself is something you just keep track internally.
Yeah, here's just like an example. So if you want to keep track of button presses, you would just put that in. That would be data. But whenever we're defining like a view variable, that would go in the view properties. That's just good practice. Okay, awesome. So now that we have our name label, there's an issue. Like this won't show up on the screen because we just defined the name label, or we didn't really like say, hey, this name label should go on the screen. So that's what we have to do next. So inside this view did load function, basically what we have to do is we have to do some things before we add it to the screen. Right now, the name label has no idea what to display. It'll just be like empty because we didn't say that it should be like, it should say someone's name or anything at all. So we have to do that first. So what we do is we get the name label, right? And then you'll see that there's a property on name label called text. Perfect. So all we have to do is set that to the text that we want to set it to. Pretty straightforward. And then what we'll do is we'll also play around with some of the other stuff too that we can do. So we can adjust the font, and we can say that that is equal to dot, and then you'll see some stuff comes up. We would just want that first one, system font, and then of size, and then we can choose like a font size here. So I'm just gonna say 24. Basically, what this is doing, this like dot here, is Swift knows that the font should be of type. Let's see if this comes up. Okay. Font should be a type UI font. So UI font has some special like things inside of the class that we can call upon, called like static variables. So what we can do is we can do this is the same thing as doing UI font dot system font of size 24. But because Swift and Xcode knows that should be a UI font, we can just shorthand it to dot system font instead of calling UI font. Okay. And then lastly, I just want to add a text color to it. Let's do text color, and we'll set that equal to dot red. And this is the same thing here. This expects a UI color, and this would be the same thing as just writing UI color dot red. But we're just going to shorthand it to dot red. Okay, awesome. So now that we have kind of set up things about it, like what it should say, now what we have to do is we have to add it to the view, right? So add name label to the view. So inside of this view controller class, we have access to something called the view, which is what is being displayed. So you'll notice that if we start typing view will come up. And the reason we have access to this view is because our view controller is an extension of the UI view controller. So like Belle was saying earlier, this is a subclass of the UI view controller. So we have access to everything on the UI view controller, including the view. So we have view, And if we do a dot, what you'll notice is there's a bunch of options that we have. The main option, and Xcode does a really good job of guessing, is we want to add a subview to the view. So if we do add subview and then we pass in our name label, what you'll see is like, yeah, we don't get any errors, which is good. Okay, so now I want to run this real quick just before moving on. Show you guys something. So if you click, you can click the triangle up here, or you can hit Command R. Also, you might have to, if you like see something other than an iPhone up here, you might have to select it and then, okay, great, it just went away. You might have to select it and then scroll down until you see iPhone. You can pick any iPhone. I mean, 16 is just, you know, what we have. Okay, but what you'll notice is like when the simulator comes up, there's nothing on the screen, unfortunately. So we did add it to the view, but the label has no idea where it should be on the page. We just kind of added it to the view, but it's not showing up because it doesn't know where it should be relative to the other things on the page. So in order to fix that, there's two things that we have to do. So first, we kind of have to enable what's called AutoLayout, which is how we put things on the screen. So enable AutoLayout. And this is unfortunately a really like silly command, but it's just something that we have to like get used to. You have to type it every time. It's just gonna be name label. I actually don't remember the full command. I just remember the first word of it is translates, and then yeah, there it is. So translates auto resizing mask into constraints. And in order to enable auto layout, we need to set that equal to false. So that's the first step. You need to do this step before you can tell the name label where it should go on the page. Okay. And then now all we have to do is we have to constrain the label to the rest of the view. So we're just going to constrain that. And the way that we do that is using something called NS layout constraints. So what we do is we do NS layout constraint dot, and then again, it's great at guessing. We want to use dot activate. And what dot activate takes in is it takes in an array of constraints. So I'm just gonna make a new array by doing an open bracket, and then the closed bracket should automatically be there. And I'm gonna hit return just so it looks nice. And then here's where we're gonna put all of the constraints that we want to make. And then this NS layout constraint class will activate those for us. So I wanna make two constraints. I wanna say that the, basically the text should be completely flush with the top of our screen. It should show right at the top of the screen. So let's do that real quick. So what we have to do is we have to do name label. And if we do dot, you'll see that it comes up with a couple different constraints. I see, a couple different anchors. So we want to use the top anchor of the name label, which basically corresponds to the top of our label. And then what we want to do is we want to do dot constraint, and there's a couple different ones here. We want to use this one, constraint equal to. It's different than constraint equal to constant. Constant basically like if it does the same thing, it's just constant is like an offset to offset it by. So we want to do constraint, and what we're going to do is we're going to constrain that to the view, which remember is our overall view, and then we're going to constrain that to the top of the view, top anchor. Perfect. So real quick, we'll have to come back and change this in a second. I'll tell you why in a little bit. But so that is our first constraint. So we want to put a comma, right, because this is an array. And then the second one would be name label dot. We'll just say that we want the name label to be right in the center of the screen. So we're going to say center X, right, because we want the center of the center X of the label to be constrained to, we want that to be constrained to the center of the view. So view dot center X anchor, just like that. Okay, awesome. Let's run this now. I'm going to run it by doing Command R. Okay, and what you notice is we see our label up here, but it's kind of off the screen, unfortunately. And this is because the view that we called is the entire screen, right? So what we want to do is instead of constraining to the view, we want to constrain to what's called the safe area layouts. So Apple defines specific areas that are safe to put text in, right? So if someone's using a screen, then like if you put your label like inside of the safe area space, then it will always be shown. We won't have stuff happening like this. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're just going to change view to view dot safe area layout guide, right? So it's just a guide of where the safe area is, and then we'll do the top anchor of that instead. And if we run this now, hopefully, so I don't look like an idiot, it'll work. Yes, nice. Okay, cool. So yeah, you'll see now it's like right at the top of the screen and in the center. So that's awesome. Okay, cool. All right, any questions about that? Anything at all? Let me zoom this out a little bit. What's up?
So what is the view did load?
Yeah. So view did load, basically it's just a function that we need to have here that when our view boots up, when like our app boots up and the view gets loaded, all of this code that is inside view did load will run. That's all it means. And so in any like view controller that you define, you need to have this view did load function. Because once the view loads for that view controller, then like we do all of this code, essentially. Okay, awesome. Any other questions, real quick? Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, so kind of going back, let's go back if we can. Okay, let's do this, and then here. Okay, we talked about auto layout. Basically, what is auto layout? It's a constraint-based organization system that allows for your like UI to be adaptive. So it adapts to like the different screen sizes and different orientations. If one person has an iPod Touch and one person has, iPhone 16, if we constrain to that safe area layout guide, then we know that our code should work on both of those devices. Okay. It uses a relational layout structure. So you're relating one constraint, like the top of a UI label, to the top of a view, for instance. So it's relational. That is a lot less error prone. And then, NS layout is what we will be using mostly in this course. And then kind of like a little visualization. This is like the left anchor. And like this would be an example of like constraining the left anchor of this to like the left anchor of this and giving like a nice offset for that. And then, Okay, cool. What's up?
Oh, just one thing. For good coding practice, here we did all the configuring within the view did load function. But later on in your assignments, you're gonna have to configure lots of things. And what we want you to do is create helper methods just so your code is more readable. So in this case, instead of doing the setting of text to Peter, font, etc. right here, I think you should create another helper function. You can create it below. Go on to it.
Yeah, sure. So like Belle said, this gets a lot more confusing when you have a bunch of different things to configure. So what we want to do is we actually just want to take all this code out of this view did load function, which will get really confusing if we have too much of it. And then we're gonna create. I just did Command X, by the way. I didn't just delete my code. And then you're gonna create a new function called. That's Korean. Okay. Func. Let's see. It's gonna be. We'll call it set up name label. And it takes in no arguments, and then that's where all of our code will go. So I guess setting the properties, then adding it to the view, and then enabling the constraints. And then we can call that function, set up name label, and then this should do the exact same thing of what we just showed. And then if you have a bunch of other ones, you would do a new function for setting up another view, and then call the function here as well. So it just makes it really nice because you can see okay, when the view loads, I'm going to set up everything, and you can quickly go to each of the functions to see what's going on when that stuff is getting set up. Any questions about that? Awesome. Okay. Okay, so now we are going to like demo positioning views around. So basically what we'll have to do for this is if you go to the course website here to today's lecture, lecture 2, you'll see this thing that says check out branches. So basically like branches are like snapshots of the repository at a certain point in time. So there are a couple branches here that just indicate or that are like the completed code. So if you want like the completed code, you would go to this one. You'd run this command in your terminal. If you want where we're gonna go right now, we're gonna go to this one right here. So I'm gonna copy this code right here. Then in my terminal, I need to make sure that I'm in the folder that is the repository. So right now, remember I'm in the iOS folder, which is here, iOS course. And I want to go inside this folder so I can switch the branch. So just to do that, you just do CD, and then I'm going to hit tab so I don't have to type it out. If you hit tab, it'll just like autofill. And then I'm going to hit return. Perfect. Now I'm in the right folder. Then if I run this command, it'll tell you that it, oh wait, hold on. I'm going to, first, because I made changes, it's telling me that I need to like commit them before I change. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna git stash. That just puts it in a stash. So the changes I just made, it just puts it inside of a stash that I can pull from later. But we won't worry about that. So yeah, now that I did that, now I can check it out and then it works, it switches. Okay. So yeah, what you'll see is we have the same code that we kind of had before. And yeah, it's very neat. Okay, awesome. So yeah, now what we're gonna do is I want to create like an image, and then I'm going to constrain that to like around the label. So what you'll notice is that in this branch we have this like picture of Vin of him eating a cookie, and we're gonna bring that picture and put it in our on our screen here. Okay. So first, what we need to do is we need to create a new variable, right? So we're gonna say private let, and then we're gonna do profile image view, and we're gonna say that that is equal to a UI image view, and that's just another type of view, and that's why we're putting it under this properties view. And then what we can do is we can create a new function called setup profile image view, and then we need to create that function because Xcode will yell at us if we don't have it. Func setup profile image view. Okay, awesome. And so what we need to do in here is we need to configure our profile image. So we're gonna say profile image view dot, and then we want to set the image. So we set the image equal to a new UI image, and then we have a couple of different like constructors here, and we want the one called named. So we're gonna say named, and then we're gonna name it what's in our assets here, which is Vin underscore eating. I know that's kind of hard to see. Apologize for that, but it's called Vin underscore eating. So I'm just gonna type that out. Okay, next. We need to add the view to the subview. So add view to subview. So I'm going to do view dot add subview, and I'm going to add the profile image view. And so remember what we need to do. It's not enough to just add it to the view. We need to turn on auto layout and constrain it. So we're going to do that by doing profile image view dot translates auto resizing mask into constraints, and we're going to set that equal to false. Can't spell false. And then we're gonna do ns layout constraint dot activate, and then we're gonna activate the constraints. We're gonna say profile image view dot top anchor, and we're gonna constrain the top anchor equal to the name label. So we can constrain things equal to other things that we set up. So we put the name label at a certain place, but now we can put the profile image view relative to the name label. So we can say name label dot bottom anchor. And then also, this comes in handy from before, that one with the constant at the end. We can define how far away we want it to be. So I want this to be 24 pixels away from the bottom anchor of the name label. That's basically what that's saying. And I can do this for the center X anchor. I can constrain that to the view again. So I just want to put the profile image view in the center of the screen. And then there's two more. We want to set the height anchor equal to, we'll do, actually in this case, what you can do is you can just set constants. So it was yelling at me to do the right thing. Equal to constant, and we want to do 256. So that's just setting the height. And then we can also do the same thing for the width. I'm just going to copy this. And then I'm going to say width anchor, and then constrain that to 256 as well. And then, yeah, that should be all good. Let's see if it runs. Look at that. Cool. Awesome. Okay, we have everything. Awesome. Any questions? I know this was kind of fast. Apologies for going a little bit over. Just hang out for like 2 more seconds. We have some announcements. But any questions about this really quick? No. Okay. Yeah, so now... Oh, sorry. Question. Yes. Yes, it was. Okay. Yeah, now we have to... What's up?
I don't like for the last.
Yeah.
I guess like profile or like.
Yeah, sure. What's up?
Translation that we did. The background still black, right? So like.
Oh, yes. Sorry. So yeah, good point. So what you'll notice is that in this like branch that we checked out, we set the view.background color equal to white. So the reason our screen was black before is because we just didn't set it to white. But now that we set it to white, it's white. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, what's up?
Text above image.
Yeah, so you'll see that this one differs because we set the text color to black in this one instead of, I think we did red in ours, in our demo. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so yeah, now let's do the Kahoot really quick. Let me just turn this off. Can I hide this? Wait, it like stops the video if I just, well, actually that's